Hey everybody, this is Julie. I am the creator of The Quantum Feather. My shop, The Quantum Feather, I sell items to assist with spiritual healing. I make different types of crystal jewelry. I make talisman and I make amulets. And I also make dream catchers and personal products such as soap and things like that. I wanted to get back to a foundation of healing, and I really believe that the way we treat our bodies really reflects our wellness. So, getting back to simplicity, we have been finding out that, and learning has been trickling into the consciousness of humans, that the people who make the products that we use have a ulterior reason to keep us sick. And when you look at the reason, it's almost surely for profit. Now, making money out of illness has been a big business for the medical community since the 1500s. Back in Greece, when doctors, who were mostly men, there's no women doctors back then that I know of, I could be wrong, but they had moved healing into a more scientific realm, into a realm they called science. But what I think people need to understand is that spirituality really evolved, really grew and was created out of the spiritual realm of magic. You know, we hear magic and people laugh. They think it's evil. They think it don't exist. When truly, magic is just science that has not been explained yet. So I wanted to go back a little further than, I always had this question, why do males dominate? And I'm not saying this because I'm a feminist. I want to understand why women are so suppressed. And even being included, you look at any religion today, and you show me where women are equally included into the inner circles of the leadership. Because there are hidden, secret teachings that I believe are in all churches that are only for the few, for the privileged. And why have women been kept out of it? So I did a little research of my own, and I was trying to trace women healers as far back as I can. Because women healers were on this earth before male healers. Now, we have been told that Atlantis and Lemuria are mythology, and that those stories aren't true. But what we're really finding out is that evidence is that these cultures really did exist. And a lot of people have past life memories of being in these different cultures, and as do I. I do quantum healing hypnosis technique, and it's past life regression. And we have found as practitioners that it's not only past lives, but we go to different realms, different dimensions. We take people through their subconscious into life between life, before they were born into bodies, and to many different places that we can't even explain in this physical realm that we live in. So understanding this really needs more, we need more people talking about it. We need more people exploring it, because our psyche and our subconscious and our minds are what is where we hold our magic. It's where we hold our memories, but it's also where we project who we are in this reality. So it's sort of that little computer we have within this physical body that's made to help us connect to other realities. And I think the push to add things to our food, to make us sick, a lot of it was done to cut us off from that spirituality. We, at one time, I believe, were psychic. We all were, not just a few. We all had these abilities that were greater than what we have now. Because through the fall of mankind, we fell into this physical, very physical, dense world. I think we've fallen down in that density as far as we can possibly go. We vibrate, our vibrational energy of our bodies are extremely slow compared to many other things. So we once were higher vibrational beings. And through that higher vibration, we were able to do a lot more things in our bodies. Because our bodies weren't so physical, that spiritual aspect of who we are is really can be seen. It can really be seen in our DNA. Now they say we're supposed to have 12 strands of DNA, and that we only use 10% of our brain. Now once we were able to use 12 strands of DNA and full brain capacity, so can you imagine the abilities that we would have? You know, as we see superheroes being created on television and in movies, you know, that's who we were back in the beginning. I'm going to do a video about the 5 root races, and I'm not going to do that today, but it goes through how we evolved. What we've been taught in church and in school is untrue. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to offend anybody, and this is my beliefs. So you don't have to believe what I believe, but if you really want to make sense of what's going on around us, we need to understand where we come from. And that was another obstacle that was placed in our path, our forgetting who we are, who we were. Because what we're trying to do is evolve spiritually. So in order to have that spiritual evolution, we need to be tested and tried. We need to learn lessons. And the lessons that are being learned on earth right now, the most horrific lessons that we can ever experience. But there is growth that can come from that. Because as we return back to the spiritual beings who we truly are, which we all will when we leave this physical body, this vessel, we'll bring back with us an understanding and an experience of all types of physical experiences. Now, one of my past lives, well, not just one, but I remember that I'm in what is called a traveler. Now, that doesn't make me any more special than anybody. This is just who I am at the core of my being. And what a traveler does is they go to different planets, different universes. They live on these planets and they experience what the life of that being is like, and they take this experience back. And I remember going back to a school, and I met with a great master. And he downloaded that information from me. I had just passed from a life. And all the experience I had in that life, he downloaded it out of my third eye. And then he told me that this experience would be used to teach others. There are so many more different beings in our existence that we're just one little speck of creation. But not all of these beings can go to every planet or every universe. So the travelers go and get the experiences, they bring it back, and it's taught to those who are students in these schools, so they can learn from them and grow. So a role I have is that I'm a traveler, and I have volunteered to go through experiences so that people may know about Earth, they may know about humans. Now, the current lesson that we're undergoing is we're starting to see such a big polarity between dark and light. Before, we can see people who, for what they were, like evil, was really it was hidden underneath the facade of the physical body. But now we're starting to see that that's being exposed, that the light is starting to be is shining on these beings, and we're seeing them for who they truly are. Now, I also believe that we have experienced both spectrums. We have experienced being good, and we have experienced being bad, being evil. That in order for us to understand personally lessons, to grow from them lessons and move beyond those lessons, is that we had to have experienced both. It does not make sense for us to come here and only experience good, because what's the use of the lesson? We also plan our lives before we come. We plan our lives with our guides and those soul families, those soul groups in which we travel to different places and have these experiences with. So we choose the roles that we would play in those lives. So we come in through different types of energy. And the types of energy we come through is the month and year we're born, the planet we're born, the time we're born. All of that gives a very unique stamp to us, that there's no one else like us that has ever lived this experience. So what a very organized and thought-provoking way to be able to learn in these bodies. Now, we just moved through the summer solstice, and that energy of the solstice can also be used because it affects our bodies. It affects us on spiritual levels, emotional levels, mental and physical. I hear a lot of people say, the Dark Cabal do all their rituals, a lot of their rituals during this time, and they do during the solstices and equinoxes. But what they understand that you don't understand is that they're energies. Now, the energies are not good or bad. The energies are what they are. So they can add power, they can energize, they can refill our own energy. And if we understood how to use this energy, we would be better creators. We would understand that everything we speak creates, everything we see creates, the way we think, our thoughts create. Vibration, magnetism, all of that is part of creation and how we create. So summer solstice is used because the light, the sun, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this healing lesson. I want to help people understand is that the light of the sun plays an enormous role in affecting our bodies in this physical experience. Solstice is the longest day of the year, so that means the light of the sun is more than dark. The sun in itself is life-giving. Many cultures used to worship the sun because they understood that we are connected, we are directly connected with celestial planets, suns, moons, stars. The celestial movements of the horoscope, they actually affect us. So the power of the sun is used to energize whatever goal or whatever, I don't want to say thing, whatever product, whatever idea, whatever dream, whatever we want to create. The power of the sun, we can take that and we can focus it on what we want to see grow throughout the year. It's like putting a plant out in the sun, and the light of the sun energizing that plant in order the plant wants to produce a flower or fruit or whatever it wants, it's genetically made to. The sun will activate that. So through the power of our mental capabilities, through the power of focusing our energy on what we want to create, we can use the sun to help energize that seed, that thought, that idea. So that's why the Dark Cabal does their rituals from the summer solstice, because they're feeding what they want at that time. Now we all are very familiar with the harvest, what's called the harvest. We harvest food, we harvest plants, and there's a time to harvest fruit, and we're all familiar with that. But also in spirituality, the harvest is talked about. So people believe that they are going to be harvested. The word to me always is, you have to be very conscious about what you would allow to harvest you. Because the dark can harvest just as well as the light. So what is going to determine to where you harvested is going to be the vibration that you carry within you. So if you were carrying jealousy and hate, anger, misdirection of will, or thinking bad thoughts about someone, it's going to lower your vibration. That's why in spirituality we're taught to confess of our sins. Now what we're confessing of is holding this energy in our body, and it needs to be released. We're all human, and we all go through experiences. Like I said earlier, we go through both ends of the spectrum of those experiences. But in order to lighten our energy, to raise our energy, we need to truly, through the heart, forgive. We should want the best for all of mankind. Now, to me, forgiveness is a different type of thing, type of emotion. Because people think you're going to forgive somebody, that it will cancel out all the pain and all the suffering that that person has caused. What forgiveness does is it releases you. That person who has caused the suffering will still carry the energy of the deed that they have done until they have worked that out within themselves and they're able to release it. So finding forgiveness for what has been done to humankind for a long time really is important for us to evolve. Because I do believe we're evolving into higher realms. Dolores Cannon taught about the new earth, but in her description of how that would happen is the earth would divide. She saw a new earth being born out of the old earth. And to me that makes sense. Because we are a reflection of everything. We're a fractalization of everything. So within our bodies, all the cells, you can think of them as being planets. Our cells divide through mitosis. So when a cell is reborn, it copies itself. So another newer cell is born. That's how we regenerate cells. But the earth is going through the same process. So as above, so below. As without, so within. Those processes are fractals. So the new earth that's being born right now is going to raise into higher dimensions. Now, we were once in a higher dimension, and back in the times of the 5 root races, a string of events occurred that created the fall. We hear so much about the fall, the fallen angels, the fall of mankind, we live in sin. That story is more than what we have been taught it is. During Atlantis is when the balance between the dark and light changed to the extreme, where darkness had actually taken over. They were using technology and crystal technology. They were using this technology to control, to enslave, for their own purposes, to become gods. They wanted this for themselves. So they had used the energy of a crystal, and I'm not talking a little crystal. There's a name for the crystal, and I can't remember what it is. In the next talk, I'll if y'all want to look it up, the Atlantis crystal. And this crystal created a event that actually shattered the world. It affected the world so much that I believe the poles flipped, and I also believe that the earth fell, the earth structure, the earth matrix, the energy matrix was affected, and the earth dropped down into dimensions, into the third, because we are in the third dimension. A lot of metaphysical New Age people are talking about how we're moving into new dimensions. We're moving into 4th and 5th dimension. But that is what we want. We want to bring her back to where she was. Because what this did is it prevented all the beings that were involved from also rising to higher dimensions. So all the beings that were associated with during this time, I believe we're all back here now. I believe we're back here to make right what was wrong. If you look around with open eyes and see what's happening, the dark, I don't want to say cabal, but that's what we know them as, the dark cabal, are creating a false matrix. And I believe they're using 5G to do this as well. If you see how they're putting up towers, they call them cell towers, but you see these, just because we don't understand and know what they are, we need to really know what's going on around us. They're building a facade. So the energy that they're able to create through this 5G technology will also create a matrix structure around the planet. And what they're hoping to do with that is to keep the planet where she is. But they're going to fail, because the Earth's destiny is to evolve. And a lot of us are here too to see that. A lot of us have come here to get experience and to see that. A lot of other beings from other places are watching to see how this will turn out, because it has never happened. Our planet has never evolved back up into a higher dimension. So we should really be honored and appreciate that we're here at this time, because this will be encoded into our DNA and into our spiritual DNA, into the records, the Akashic records, and we will have access to that because we have been part of it. Our energy and healing starts with the energy body that we have. That energetic body that surrounds us, that comes out, radiates from us, is our matrix structure. It's going to allow us to be able to pull up our bodies and evolve into higher realms as we loosen up the density, as we lose these physical bodies. There have been examples of this where Tibetan monks are able to cause changes in their bodies, where they can control their temperature of their bodies. But it's even said they have learned how to access their rainbow body. And there's proof that some monks have left, and they left behind toes and fingernails. They've left this behind because they actually moved in their rainbow bodies to higher dimensions. This can also be seen in the artwork if you know how to look at artwork. I think the halos around the heads of people that you see in some of the artwork is a representation of that energy body. Jesus had that around his. And I think this is representation of people who have achieved that, and they were able to ascend. And that's what we call it, ascension. So why wouldn't our health be affected by our energetic body? Because that is what we are. This physical body is a shell. We are really spirit having a physical experience, like many have said, and understanding that, you will also understand that you are not your body. But once we pass, once our body dies, what is left of us? That spiritual makeup of who we are. So when you're ready to transfer your energy when you die, it depends on what that energy is. Have you cleared that energy? Have you, and that energy is made up of mental, emotions, everything. We don't spend time working on that because we have been forced to have to work so much that we barely have time to take a look at ourselves and understand what we're really experiencing. But what I think this shutdown has given us a gift. It's given us a gift to look within, to examine. I know a lot of us were afraid, lose our homes, lose where we're going to live. We have families, we have children, we have people to feed. It's very scary. But when we understand that the people that the cabal, the dark cabal, has been doing is controlling us through a fiat money system. And that fiat money system is that system where we're paying to live somewhere, where we're paying for energy, where we're paying for our food, where we're paying for everything. They're even taxing water, taxing oxygen. Back in the past, they used to tax you for how many windows you had on your home. Why are we allowing them to do this? I believe we can really expose them, but in the same time evolve to higher beings. But we have to understand that we're all the same. A lot of people they're not able to see that. And when I say that we're all the same, is we are all energy. That our bodies are what causes us to be separate because we're in an experience. But once we leave them, we're all the same. So at this time, I just want to encourage people, as we learn how to heal our bodies, through simple things like being in the sun. The sun is a very important role, plays a very important role in our health. We have been made to fear the sun. The sun causes cancer. Don't go out there. Don't get burned. Stay out of the sun. And I understand that we need to be responsible. But however, the sun, it activates vitamin D in our body. It helps also feed our energy body. It helps the melanin in our body. And that melanin has its own cycle on helping us to sleep, helping us to regulate our circadian rhythm, even affecting our pineal gland, and creating, which helps us have these spiritual experiences while we're here. So they don't want you to know that, they want you, if you're in fear when you walk in the sun all the time, you're programming that fear in your body. And that's how your body's going to respond. But the way I do it is I like to get up early and watch the sunrise. And I like to soak up the energy during that sunrise because it's the safest amount of radiation. It's not so strong of an effect on our body. But it also it's connecting your energy back to the sun so that it can help feed you and help you grow. Now, I know to some people this might sound foreign and silly, but it makes sense. You know, when sometimes I see my dog rolling around on the deck in the sun with his belly exposed. You know, my cat too. You know, they know this. You know, they know they have to be exposed. They have to have that connection. And the moon, we all know it connects to the planet, especially controlling water and the tides. But we are made up of majority of water. So it's affecting us on the inside as well. But what you must understand too is that the moon reflects the light of the sun. So it's also connecting with us through the moon. I am hoping to get with some like-minded people in my area so that we could create a group so that we can start bringing simple healing, natural healing back into the psyche of people, because people really don't understand. We're locked in a building all day working. You know, we might go in, you know, early in the morning with no light, and we might leave work and it's dark. We have not been exposed at all to the sun. And the fact that it has on us has been a depletion of energy, depletion of our connection to spiritual, to celestial. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was our connection with the sun and how healing is really associated with the sun. I had a patient, I do wound care nursing right now, and she was over 100, and she had a bed sore that she's had for a long time, and she used to tell us all the time, just open up the window and let the sun hit it, let the breeze get to it. And she, you know, we used to laugh about it, you know, but it dawned on me, I understood that, you know, she's right. We're starting to learn how ultraviolet light can help heal wounds, can help kill germs, bacteria, and viruses. It's not a myth, it's true. But she understood that. And she wasn't educated or anything like that. She had a hard life, but she had a good life, and she loved God. But we have lost this knowledge because we have allowed our memories of our past, we have allowed them to cover it up. Tearing down statues, good or bad, you're erasing history. Just like on the internet, you know, now I'll go to a site I used to go to get information, and they're saying, oh, this is false. Something like that will pop up. This isn't, you know, why are they telling me that something that I have been learning from for a long time is false? They are deciding what's true and what's not true. So they're controlling you already. They're still trying to cut you off from that natural world. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for today. I'm trying to think if there's anything from my past life. In Atlantis went through several catastrophes that I remember. And during sessions, during QHHT, I've had clients talk a lot about Atlantis. And there's a lot of guilt that still stay with some of them about what happened. but they're here trying to make that better, and that's how I know that we're bad and good. We experience both. So, God bless everybody. We're going through a lot of turmoil right now. But now's not the time to hide in our homes. Now's not the time to separate ourselves from each other. Because our energetic bodies, our energy bodies, we connect. And when we connect, I'm sorry if you hear kids playing. That's my neighbors. They're swimming or something, and I hear the kids. They tell us to stay 6 feet apart is another thing. And what's that is doing is separating our energy from each other. And they don't want us to be able to come together and use our energy as a group, because we are able to create our experiences and where we're going. They want you disconnected. So they're letting us use this type of media to connect. But I also think that we connect this way through spirit too. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'm on Instagram under the Quantum Priestess. You can also find me on Facebook under the Quantum Feather. And I want to tell everybody we're all spiritual warriors. So every day we should walk in our power. For God doesn't want weak armies of people who love and follow Him. And I am honored to help bring back some of the memory of the female healers that once existed. We'll talk about that more in another video about what we did in Lemuria and how that was taken away and we ended up in a patriarchy. So I love you and walk in your power. For now is the time of the spiritual warrior.